Yes. Let's give some more love to Lauren and the band. Beautiful. So this month we are kicking off a new series entitled Light Within the Shadows. And I have to say, when I first saw this topic, this theme from Centers for Spiritual Living, I was a little skeptical because sometimes in certain circles, especially in certain spiritual circles, there can be a tendency to look at it as light is good and dark is bad. And as you all know, as you know here and as you know me, I prefer to lean in a little bit more to the gray, to the nuance. But I was pleasantly surprised as I dived into the Science of Mind magazine this month and the topics and the themes to see that that is the direction that we are going this month, to look at embracing the gifts of all. So, although there can be this tendency to want to avoid the dark because of its unknowns and uncertainties, and to seek only the light because it's bright, it's energizing, it feels good, right? What this does is it actually allows us to bypass the opportunity for true embodiment and transformation if we focus and look only at the light. Not being willing to look at our shadows for fear of the doubt or the shame that lives there, we hold ourselves back from fully integrating this experience of life. And as our theme for the year calls us to live out loud, what this requires is a deep integration and acceptance of all aspects of ourselves, our true colors. So like many things in the natural world, there exists this seeming opposite. Land, water, night, day, hot, cold, predator, prey. And the Chinese philosophy and medicine call this concept yin and yang, describing the duality of seeming opposite forces, but how they interact with each other in a complementary and interdependent way. Two seeming opposite forces working together, creating a flow and wholeness. So is true with this concept of light and dark. There isn't one without the other. Think about the beauty of a sunrise or a sunset. That experience wouldn't be without the light of the sun juxtaposed against the darkness of the horizon. We wouldn't know one without the other. The beauty of the sunrise or the sunset in the sky would have no meaning if it was set against a backdrop of more light. We need the contrast of the darkness for the light to appear. Otherwise, it would be like standing outside in the full day sunlight and shining a flashlight at the sun. You can't see it, right? We need the contrast. And although the light and the dark have their own characteristics, and they may seem to operate independently, they actually work in unison. So although in general terms, we have learned to embrace light as good and dark as bad, there is great possibility that arises when we explore the synergy of light and dark working together. And so that is what we are going to dive into this month with this series, Light in the Shadows. So we're going to start today by focusing on integrating those seeming opposites within ourselves. And our topic is aligning the inner with the outer self. So, Let's start with this. Are we spiritual beings living a human experience, or are we human beings having a spiritual experience? The distinction being, are we centering our humanity or our divinity? But I ask, do we have to choose? Perhaps it's both and. A yin and a yang, spiritual and human, working together. Another aspect of this is to look at how our inner world, which includes our thoughts, our emotions, how that is working in harmony with our outer world. Is it congruent? Is our inner world fully expressed in our outer? Are we working together in harmony? So we can have certain thoughts and beliefs and emotions around things, and then with our words and actions and behaviors, perhaps portray something different. And that is where we want to take a look, to see how our inner and outer aspects of ourselves are wanting to experience more harmony. Is there an area in our life where we want to experience a shift or growth in order to live life out loud and to be congruent in our body, mind, spirit, in our hearts, and what the world sees and knows us to be? If we work in just changing one area without the other, it is not sustainable. Have you noticed if you worked on changing an area of your life from the outside only without changing your inner beliefs or thoughts or consciousness about yourselves, then you'll have some success, but eventually you will fall flat because there must be the harmony of the inner and the outer. If you've noticed, there's this statistic, actually, I looked it up, that this is the very reason why 70% of people who win the lottery go bankrupt within a few years after winning. So think about that. The outer experience changed, but did the inner experience of knowing ourselves as abundant beings in the flow of infinite source of life, has that changed so that the two can be congruent and sustainable? If you've ever tried to create a shift by just working in one area, say maybe changing your mind about something, but not actually demonstrating it with your action, you will not experience the full benefits of that change or that shift in consciousness, and vice versa. Working only in the world of form to change something on the outside without changing who we are on the inside will not produce the lasting results that we desire. The both and. We work at the level of consciousness and form. We are human and divine. We are simple and complex. This teaching is simple and complex, right? The Science of Mind teaches us it's fairly simple. Remember, know that you are love, that we are one, that we are whole. And then to move through the world with our actions and behaviors being in alignment with that place of wholeness and love by being kind to one another. Yet, it's not always that simple, because there are other humans in the world, and we are all complex with unique personalities and a vast array of emotions and a vast array of ways of being in this world. So although this premise seems simple, know that you are loved, that we are one, and act as such, be kind, be loved. We bump up against each other and sometimes within ourselves because of this complex nature of, sometimes the chemical nature in our body, the hormones, our minds, our thoughts, our personality, all these different things that shape and form who we are. It can be like, going through the layers of an onion, getting to that core truth. It is often said that spirituality really is more about letting go of anything than gaining anything. We live and move and have our being in this vast universe that is both seen and unseen, complex and simple. As Dr. Ernest Holmes, the founder of The Science of Mind Teaching, says, we are living in a spiritual universe which includes the material and the physical universe. It is all one. So the key is to gain awareness of our inner landscape, the unseen, the invisible aspects of ourselves, and then to consciously choose to express ourselves through our actions and behaviors that demonstrate who we truly are. Spiritual practices help bring us to that which we are unaware of on the surface level, so that we can become more aware and awake to those spaces within that are seeking a deep healing, a transformation, to come in alignment with the truth of who we are. And as we become aware of all the idiosyncrasies within ourselves, we can also sometimes fall back on those old patterns and self-sabotage. If we do not fully integrate and embody these shifts in mind and body, then we cannot fully shift our experience at both the seen and unseen, the visible and the invisible. So this is where we get to lean into our spiritual practices to help us to heal by calming our mind, by opening up to the divine inspiration of life that is always there, moving through us. And then taking the inspired action to integrate and embody this new awareness or insight. So we come together on a Sunday morning to contemplate and to remind each other to feel good. But the real work takes place outside of this hour or so on a Sunday morning. And that is why I strongly encourage you to take advantage of our other offerings throughout the week, our meditation on Wednesday night, our classes that are coming up, where we get to practice in a more intimate way how to integrate the inner and an outer, to have a small group that are holding us accountable to show up and share about our experiences with meditation and journaling and affirmative prayer, spiritual mind treatment, visioning. We have amazing toolbox of resources that we can lean into, but often when left alone to our own devices, do we go to that spiritual toolbox or do we go to the TV or the fridge, etc.? And not that those things are bad. Again, it all has to do with the motivation behind it, with the intention behind it. Are you being conscious? Are you taking a conscious break? Or are you zoning out and avoiding something because you don't really want to look within at those shadows? Space and grace. I mentioned this in January as my mantra, my personal mantra for the year. Space and grace. So when our inner focus is in alignment with who we are on the outside, we walk in the world in a way that is congruent, where we experience more fulfillment. And as we begin to search our inner landscape and take inventory of what's really going on, we can intentionally begin to focus on those things that we want to shift or bring into greater alignment through our outer experience, such that we are living in integrity with what we desire and practicing accountability, vulnerability, authenticity, these things that we've been talking about in the beginning of the year, leading us to this place today of full integration, where we can learn to heal in the invisible realm and demonstrate this healing through our actions and behavior such that it is visible to those around us. So one way to just kind of check in with ourselves, to look at how we are doing in this aspect of inner and outer alignment and integrity, is to notice, what are we experiencing in our outer world? And then ask, is this in alignment with what I truly desire for my life? To ask, are your true colors visible to the world? What picture are you painting through the actions of your life and how you interact and engage with others? Do you sometimes find yourself at the end of the day or an end of the week taking time to reflect and think back and be like, why did I say that? Why did I show up in that way? That was not my best self. Taking time to contemplate, to reflect, and check in on how you are showing up in your life and with those around you is a great practice to be accountable for aligning your inner and your outer selves. But we've sometimes been like socialized that it's more important to look good or, be perfect, that we would avoid even going there with ourselves because of the fear of the inner shame of, well, I can't admit that I did something out of integrity. That would be bad. But I tell you, it takes courage and vulnerability. But when we are willing to show up and be responsible for our actions, to acknowledge that with ourselves and perhaps another, if there has been impact that needs to be repaired, that is where the true gift lies. And that is like a catapult towards spiritual growth and transformation, because it is showing, it is demonstrating that we are humans on this trajectory of life, always growing, always expanding, and that along that journey, we will fall. But if we allow ourselves the grace and the space to do so, we can pick ourselves back up with love and continue this journey of being awake and aware and integrating who we truly know ourselves to be, this divine wholeness, this love, this peace, this joy, and to show up as such in the world. But we must be willing to be accountable and be responsible for our actions and behaviors. So as we begin to notice and take accountability and to check in with ourselves, we can become familiar then with the behaviors that are the indicators of when we are out of alignment. What are those go-to behaviors that, if we are truly honest with ourselves, indicate that we are out of integrity with our core values? So for me, it's when I take on too much, when I begin to be rushing and my energy is just like this, right? So being too busy and rushed and not present, when I find myself just being short, being irritated, trying to do it all and be it all, and thinking that, oh, I'll just do it myself. It's just easier, it's just faster, I'll just get it done. Instead of asking for help or taking the space and grace to allow someone else to do it, even though it may not be the way that I would do it. Right? All of these things are behaviors that I can look for within myself to notice, am I in alignment? Because what I truly say I value is peace, is being present, mindfulness, love. And so when I'm rushing and not giving my full self to those that I love or to myself, then that is the indicator that it's time to reevaluate, to take stock and to make new choices in order to get back in integrity with my inner desire and outer experience. And for me, it's an ongoing process. And I'm not going to fool myself by thinking, I've got it this time. Because I have seen this pattern throughout my life where I get caught up in the energy around me and doing all the things. And then, in the past, it's had to be something like, I moved to Hawaii for a year to decompress. And then I think, I've learned that lesson. And then I get back into my routine and, a couple weeks, couple months later, back at it. Breathe. So now that I'm aware that this is a pattern, that I can begin to lean into micro moments of mindfulness. Instead of doing these big swoops, this, extreme speeding up and slowing down, and speeding up and slowing down. Like, yes, life has a rhythm, but I'm being more intentional now to notice if I take a little time each day. Like I recently got back in integrity with my nighttime ritual, taking that space to not be on the computer, in the bed, because there's always work to do, but to take the time to be intentional with that ritual or that routine at night, to relax, to slow down, to read, to journal, to meditate, to sip my tea, to slow down. Taking these micro moments of mindfulness, of connection, this is how, at least for me, I can begin to experience more integration with those core values on the inner and the outer. So I invite you to think about what it is for you. You may be relating to what I say, or you may be at a different stage or phase in your life, and it's something different. But notice, what are the indicators in your life that you are out of alignment? Maybe it's when you find yourself, shopping a lot. Shop therapy, they call it, right? Being, not as present with your family or friends, or being easily annoyed. Road rage, another good indicator that perhaps there's something to look at to get back in alignment with the truth of who we are. So the first step, notice those behaviors, and then let them point you back to asking, what is an action I can take right now to bring myself back in alignment? Clear and specific. Like I said, like I created a bedtime ritual. I set things on my phone so my apps won't even let me open them after a certain time. And, we have to support ourselves with our intention and actions to set ourselves up for success. Otherwise, if we just notice it, Don't change anything, beat ourselves up, quickly we're spiraling down to the point where we have no energy and can't even see a way out. Support yourself by creating structures so that you can be successful as you work on both the inner and the outer to become in alignment with the truth of who you are. So notice those behaviors. Ask yourself, what is seeking to be known? What is seeking to shift in my world? Is it an inner or an outer experience? And then be willing to create that plan and take those action steps to move into integrity. This takes awareness and it takes courage. It takes courage to go against the grain. Perhaps it may require saying no, setting boundaries. And there may be certain things that you say no to that others don't understand. And that's okay. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your no. As I said a few weeks ago, no is a complete sentence. So we work on both the level of consciousness, the invisible realm, with our beliefs, knowing that we are worthy and good enough, that we are enough, and that we deserve all that we desire. And we work in the world of form to put into practice that which we desire through accountability, through a strategy, support systems, and then taking actions and making sure our thoughts and words and behaviors are in alignment. And we may fall back to those old patterns, and that's okay. If we fall asleep, we have the opportunity to once again wake up. Give ourselves that space and grace, and to remember that we are always at choice, and each day, each moment, we can begin again. And that is why we have this beloved community, this place where we can come together, where we can be that reflection for one another, check in on how we are doing in our inner and outer selves, where we can demonstrate and show up in the fullness of who we are. And to ask, do those around me experience me as I desire to be experienced? And if you're courageous enough, you may even want to ask someone close to you how they experience you. And not, again, in any kind of form of beating yourself up, but in a true, humble willingness to know yourself through the eyes of another. And you may receive feedback from others that doesn't land for you, and that's okay. But check in and see if perhaps the feedback you are receiving, at least be willing to ask yourself, could that be true? Could that be true? We had a wonderful experience, I guess it was just last weekend when Melissa and Z were here with our leadership. We gathered together last Saturday, and they led us through some really wonderful exercises around connection, where we got to sit before each other in this process where we all got to be one-on-one and get to share things with each other about what we appreciate about each other. And one of the things that is fun in those exercises to then notice, okay, what was the commonality? And was there something that surprised me about what someone else said that I perhaps have not looked at within myself, but am I willing to see, could this help me know myself better through the eyes of another? Or is this just their stuff projecting on me? That's the simple and the complex. It's nuanced, but your heart will know, right? So we gain wisdom from the lessons in our experiences that can be applied to our growth and our evolution, because life is always about choice and curiosity. And we can live a life that is rich and expansive and full of possibility, or we could choose to just keep getting along to go along, sleepwalking through life as if we don't have a choice. But what we know is that we are always that choice. And we can choose to live the best life that we desire by leaning into curiosity and wonder and the pure potentiality that life offers us. But as the reading says, life is always giving unto itself, but we must be willing to accept it. So are you willing to accept your good this day? Are you willing to fully integrate, to embody both the light and the dark and the full spectrum of color and possibility, to see things from a new perspective and then embody this holistic perspective as one whole, perfect, complete being, the truth of who you are? Needing nothing outside of ourselves to become whole, because truly we know that we are already it, baby. We have it all. We are it all. We just have to remember and then act from this place. So this week, I invite you to cultivate an awareness of your inner and outer worlds, to notice when you are in integrity, to get curious about those indicators of when you are not, and perhaps lean into those that are closest to you for some guidance and feedback. No matter what our inner and outer states are, let's choose to actively engage with ourselves to know what's going on and why, because awareness is curative. And having awareness of our conscious and subconscious, unconscious levels helps us to learn and know more about ourselves, applying our spiritual practices and techniques to help address and resolve the issues in order to live in integrity and to be in alignment with the life that we desire, yes? So let us choose to see clearly and let our true colors shine, yes? All right, let's take it into prayer. So just taking that nice deep breath. Hearing the gentle pitter-patter of the rain. Allowing this to bring us into our bodies right here, right now, in this room. Noticing the sensation in our body. Becoming aware of where our head space is at. Checking in with our hearts, with our feeling body. Awareness is curative. We start from this place of awareness, knowing and recognizing the one life, the one energy, the one presence that is love, that is peace, that is joy, that is freedom. This one life, this one energy source back of all things that is living and moving and having its very being right here, right now, in and as each and every one of us. I know that I am love. I am peace. I am free. Joy is who I am. And I know this must be true for each and every person hearing the sound of my voice, for there is only one energy expressed in the multitude. So I choose this day to remember who I am, to peel back the layers and to let the truth shine, knowing that I am whole, that I am willing to be fully integrated, that my outer self is a direct reflection of the truth of who I am. One being perfect, whole, complete. So it is with ease and grace that I move throughout my day, walking the walk, talking the talk of love and joy and peace and freedom, allowing myself to be seen, knowing myself fully, and living life out loud. A full expression of the good, the allness of life is mine now. And I am willing to accept all that I desire. So I take a breath and allow the vibration and the energy of these words that are being spoken through me now to land in every cell of our body, our physical body, our energetic body, our mental, spiritual bodies are one, are whole, are embodying this truth. And it is with great gratitude that I get to choose to live life out loud. It is with great gratitude that I get to be who I am fully in this life. And it is with great gratitude for the fulfillment of this word that I release it into the action of the law that always says yes. Yes, yes, my beloved. It is done. It is so. And so it is.